Hello, good morning. Here I am. My name is Rob. I am that developer dad, and we're gonna continue on the journey of live coding. My website, which can be found at www.thatdeveloperdad.com. We're using a new to me front end static website generator framework called AstroJS, and much to the chagrin of my career counselor and a lot of my development peers and other professional friends out in the industry, I am doing this live. So, up until yesterday afternoon's stream, things were looking pretty ugly on the website. They were completely unstyled. Everything was in Times New Roman. There was no spacing, no boxing, or anything like that on the site. It was ugly. And we finally got to a place where we had a style sheet applied to the entire site, and we'd begun adding some components so that some common elements for each page that I want on the site are all contained in a file, so that I only have to modify or make those changes in one place. Today we are going to start off by working in the footer component, because when we set it up yesterday, I just hard coded a bunch of links in there side by side, and while that works, it's not ideal because it makes it a real pain in the neck when I want to add another social media outlet or what have you to that footer component. So let's start by opening the Finder. Here it is. And we're going to go to the folder that I'm using on my local machine. We're going to open a new terminal, load up VS Code, and it's loading. There we go. There's that. We'll go back to the terminal for just a second. Use npm run dev to start the node server that runs the AstroJS process, and it says it's being served at localhost 4321, and it is watching for file changes, which means as we make changes to the files in our website, we are going to get to see those changes happen live in our browser window. It says failed to open page, but we're going to refresh, and there it is. We're looking a lot better this morning than we did yesterday. You can see the footer component that I'm talking about. It's down here. I'm not in love with it. So let's start diving in. Oh, before I do that, I want to do my daily stand-up. And here's this article. So let's go ahead and pop in here. June 20th afternoon coding session. Let's go here. June 21st. Morning session. Got basic styling. Let's do this right. Yesterday, got basic styling put in place, site wide. Navigation component created and installed site wide. Created a basic footer component. Created and installed site wide. This morning, Markdown can get picky sometimes. Make the footer component easier to manage. Add at least a horizontal rule above the content in that component. Spelling is hard, especially when you're only on your first cup of coffee. Luckily, here is coffee number 2. To set it apart from the main body. And then once that's done, continue with the Astro.js tutorial. Save that. We made a change. Let's test it. Okie dokie. June 21st morning session, yesterday, blah, blah, blah. This morning, we are going to do these things. All right. And just to show that we've got our header or our navigation up here. Here's the footer. Let's go to each page. Here's our footer here. Here's our footer here. And yes, eventually we're going to move the navigation so that it's got some visual separation between these links and the main body content. And I'd like to lock this footer content to the very bottom. But I want to get the main structure of the site done first and work through more of these tutorials because I have a feeling that they're going to get us. And I just realized I had moved to the code view. I apologize. The tutorials that we're going through will get us to a place where these things are fixed to the bottom and to the top and have much better visual styling on them. So just to show what I added, we've got sort of my daily Scrum stuff. Here's what I accomplished yesterday afternoon. I should put yesterday afternoon there. And this morning, I plan to, let's go ahead and make that wording a little bit better. Yesterday afternoon, this morning, we plan to save that. That's better. Okay. We've got our intent spelled out. Let's dive in. Now, I'm going to do something scary. And we're going to be like hard coding a JSON object, and we're going to be building it from scratch and stuff like that. Normally, I'll build a C# class with properties, and then I'll just serialize that out to JSON because as a .NET developer, I'm not usually in the habit of just typing in a JSON object definition. It's not something I do often. So this is going to take some trial and error. Let's add a horizontal rule. Now, are we still adding trailing slashes on single HTML elements? I don't remember. Those rules change so bloody often. Let's go make sure that showed up. Good. Here we go. Now we've got that stuff. And let's make sure it's showing up elsewhere. Beautiful. You know what? I think I want to add that horizontal rule underneath my nav links. I like the way that splits things up. Oh, that's significantly better. I like that quite a bit. Okay, so we'll go to articles because that's where we can see this thing so much better. All right, I can close navigation. Not going to do any work on index right now. We'll keep session stand up MD. I'm going to say Dunzo on that. Cool. Now, these guys, excuse me, the tutorial actually suggests adding a sort of a URL template for these various sites and then just popping in the username. But I've noticed that the username can vary from site to site, and I have this all wrong. I have to go find the correct YouTube link for this. Excuse me. That the format of the username is different from site to site as well. And Facebook's profile finder is not friendly for this type of thing at all. So what we are going to do is we're going to say const social links equals. Now I believe in the tutorial they actually have an example of some JSON. Nope, they don't. Not there anyway. That's okay. I'm going to try doing it this way. I believe, nope. Okay, it's going to be an array of JSON. So we're going to start off with 1. I believe we have to create it as an object. Link equals it really doesn't like that, does it? No, we're not going to do that. Oh, and we're going to say title. Let's say linked in. I'll replace these with single quotes. URL. Let's just go ahead and grab this. Copy. All right. So there's one. Old hard-coded way. New mapped way. All right. I believe believe there is somewhere in the tutorial, we're gonna have to page back a little bit, where they talked about, or where they had me do some things where they did a mapping over a JavaScript array. Okay, so conditionally rendering elements. Now we're not in here. Create a new Astro page. Navigation links. I know it was around here somewhere. Okay, must be further in. I think I skipped over it. Add dynamic content. Here it is. Define and use a variable. Here is a variable. Here's where we interpolate that into the title and the page header. And then a little bit further down, we've got hobbies, skills. Here we go. We're getting warmer. Here we go. Identity, hobbies, length, greater than 2, and bloogity bloogity blue. Skills.map. That's the line I'm looking for. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna copy and paste. I'm just gonna pull this off to my other monitor real quick. And I am going to say open braces, social links dot map, open parens, s link, lambda, a href equals link dot url. Oop, I gotta interpolate that in with the braces. Target equals underscore blank. New interpolation. S link dot title. It doesn't like that. He really, really doesn't like that. Because that's in quotes. And I think we have too many of those. Okay, I'm completely bollocksing up my JSON here. I'm making a hot mess of it. Now we're still, this isn't right. What if I escape that? No, didn't like that at all. Let's save it and see what we get, just for laughs. Just purely for science. Pull this over here, new mapped way, LinkedIn. Okay, it's not finding that, which is fine. That's okay. But it did pull the title out for me. So I wonder if I just remove the quotes. That feels janky to me. That feels really, really, really weird. But we'll try it. Holy cow. Okay, that was that. Neat. Okay, so that means I can highlight that stuff. Let's bounce it out by 1. We'll get rid of all of this extra goofy white space. And let's add another element. Title. We can pull this out for now. Twitch TV. URL. Is https twitch.tv/. There we go. Save it. There we go. Good. That loaded. And I'm just going to close that tab real quick, because if I don't, we are going to end up with the infinity mirror effect, and that will drive everybody mad. S-link, blah, blah, blah. You know what we need over here is some white space. Save, because I noticed that those were all jumbled up, and they're still all jumbled up. But that's okay. We can get to styling some of this stuff a little better. And what I'll do is add a pipe character in there. Oh, it didn't much care for that, did it? A dot? Nope. How did they do it in the tutorial? Oh yeah, it really hates all that stuff that I'm doing now, doesn't it? All right. I need to add some white space. Now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to add it to the styling for links in the footer. That feels like the correct way of doing it. white space isn't working. Unless I go like this. That feels funky, but maybe it's legal. Oh yeah, object, 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 blah, 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 blah. New mapped way. That doesn't help at all. Yep. Okay, we're going to have to do this with styling or something. That's okay. I'm fine with that. But we know that it works. We can come back to it. New object. Boop. And we will say title. Pop in here. One space. Yep, one space. YouTube. URL is this big ugly thing, and I know there's a better link for that. If you bear with me for just a minute, I can log into another site where I actually have the correct URL for that. Settings, profile. Here we go. Copy that. Paste that. Save it. Const link separator equals that. Duh. I wonder if that'll work. It says it doesn't much care for it. Let's save it and see if it blows up our page. I have a feeling it does. It does. So can I do this? That's right, because this is the variable, which is each element in our social links array. We're passing it into this expression. And because JavaScript is a funny thing, it's treating all of this stuff as a string that's being built. And then this interpolation call is a shortcut to a variable or another function. And so what I need to do is I actually need to concatenate both of those expressions together, which is why this probably, maybe, definitely worked. But we're still only getting this object, 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 object. So that clearly didn't work for us either. because I don't speak JavaScript. Not very well at all. Here we go. LinkedIn, Twitch TV, YouTube. All right. The links are there. Actually, let's test the YouTube link. Make sure I got that right. Yep, there's my silly face all over the place. Good deal. Cool. All right, so that means we can come over here and get rid of this old hard-coded way. Goodbye. We'll get rid of the new mapped way. And so there's that. We don't need the link separator because that didn't do anything for us. Save that. Now, save. I don't want to just leave this like this before we leave this in this state before we go off back to the tutorial, because we just got this thing looking good and now my footer looks like I don't know what I'm doing, and full disclosure, I don't know what I'm doing. But let's pretend that I kind of do understand some of this stuff. So excuse me, rather than messing around with that map function and all of that stuff, let's do this the way I know. And we're going to add some styling. Now, in CSS, I believe I can go footer dot A. No. I know there's a way to apply a style to elements, but only when they're children of another specific type of element. For that, we shall visit Copilot. Want to apply a CSS style to a particular HTML tag. To the A tag in HTML, but only for A elements are inside a footer element. I can't remember the syntax. Please help. Aha! There we go. Footer A. I knew there was a way to combine them. So let's give that a shot. First, let's make sure that by doing this, we are going to actually target our footer. And background color, red. Text. Nope, not text decoration color. Color. Black. That's going to be really painful to look at, and I apologize, but Okay, good. I am in fact targeting those elements. So we're not going to have anything in the footer style yet, but what we will do is footer A, padding right, 0.5 REM. There we go. And because it's on the global style sheet, there we go. And finally we'll come over to about, and there's that. I like it. We need to get into some positioning stuff soon, but I'm already relatively familiar with some CSS positioning stuff. We might have to dig into some Flexbox, which scares me because Flexbox is a fairly new concept to me. I know it's been around for about 10 years, but I've been living behind the API for almost all of that time. All right, so make the footer component easier to manage. Done. We have it. Let's recap what we've done, actually. So instead of having a bunch of hard-coded links down here, we've put the links up into an array of JavaScript objects. And then we're taking advantage of the JavaScript map function, which, as I explained yesterday, seems to be the equivalent to .NET's collection .for each. And then inside the map call, it looks an awful lot like something we would see in ASP.NET Razor pages or what have you. But we do need to be aware that everything inside these parentheses, or everything after the projection operator, if that's what that's called, I don't know. I never took computer science. Everything after this must be a coherent statement. So we can construct one tag, but if we try to get fancier than that, we're going to get in trouble. I really ought to look into how this map function works some more, but frankly, I'm not a front-end developer. I try to avoid dealing with JavaScript as much as I possibly can, because if I'm going to be on the server, I'm using .NET. And this is one of those things where you'll learn just enough to make what you want to happen, and then you move on with your life. So I used CSS to add some padding to the right side of these links. And just to test, to make sure that this nested style only applies to those things in the footer, let's turn them green. And if our thinking is correct, all of these other links remain default colored. And now we've proven to ourselves that by doing this footer anchor, we're only affecting the A tags that are children of our footer element. That could come in handy later on. Very handy later on. Okay, I think we are ready to move on with our tutorial. We've made our footer component easier to manage. added at least a horizontal rule above the content in that component to set it apart. And for brownie points, we added an HR tag below the links for our navigation menu. And things are starting to look a little easier on the eyes, I think. All right. Now, where were we in the tutorial? Styling the about page. That was yesterday. Site-wide styling was yesterday afternoon. Components. I think this is where we left off. A social media component used in the footer that links to the profile pages. An interactive hamburger component. Make a reusable navigation component. We did that. We did the social media footer. Blah, 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 blah. We added that. Personalize your footer. We did all that stuff. Oh, I did add a Facebook page. I should go get that. Yeah, I'm going to add the Facebook page now. Title. Facebook. URL. I am going to need to pop that open in another window. So bear with me. Pull this over here. Settings. Here. Oh, jeepers. Save GUI. How does that manifest? Ugh. That's icky. I don't like it. We'll just paste that in here, save, and we should see the link to that developer dad's Facebook profile now. Fantastic. All right. Oh, there's one more I ought to add, and I just closed the darn page like a nincompoop. And go here, go to my page. Is this? Yes, this is the URL that I need to inject. And title. This is my one concession to monetization. Buy me a coffee? Question mark. Paste the link into my coffee account. And there it is. Good deal. And we'll get logos and this and that and the other thing in there eventually. But I'm trying to do as much of this for free as I possibly can using free services and this and that and the other thing. But for email, I did sign up for a single user M365 subscription, and the domain name registration, of course, isn't free. Luckily, I did find a free Azure service to act as the host for all this stuff, but all of these services that I am using do cost money, so I figured I'd at the very least put something in place so that if somebody does like what I'm doing or sees some value for it, there's a way for them to say, tell me thank you in a foldy fashion. Um, oh, wait, foldy means something else these days. Say thank you in a monetary fashion. But I really don't want to be a pain in the neck and be talking about the financial stuff and begging for money or anything like that. This isn't a telethon. All right. So that gets us to. We've created our social media footer. Import and use social.astro in your footer. You know what? I really, really, really quite like the idea of doing that. Because there's going to be more places that I just want to use the social media stuff all by itself than just in the footer. And there are going to be more things that I want to put in the footer than just the social media stuff. So I think it actually makes some sense to do a little bit of componentization there. Now, rather than do this parameterized component that they're demonstrating here, although we'll probably come back and use this as a model later when I want to do a parameterized Astro component, I think what I am going to do instead is I'm going to add a new file, social links.astro. We'll do that. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab all of this. Create the front matter. Come over here and grab this stuff. Copy that for now. Paste that here. Save that. Shift Command P. Comment that stuff out. Now, I've already forgotten how to link or import stuff. But I'm going to grab this, pop over into my footer, come up here, paste that here. We're going to import social links from social links.astro. Why doesn't it like that? doing something screwy here. Dot slash derp. Here we go. Save. I'm going to comment this stuff out. There we go. We're going to go clean all of that stuff up in a few minutes. Once we know what I'm doing works. Pop in here, make sure I don't have, hey, look at that. We've got that stuff. Buy me a coffee. Let's make sure the link works. Cool. All right. Groovy. I need to add some content over here too. I'm not going to live stream adding content to my various social media outlets. But, okay, good. That worked. Let's go clean up all that green code, because commenting code out while you're refactoring is okay. But once you've tested it locally and you've ensured that you haven't blown anything up in a horrible fashion, please, please, please go clean up the code that you've commented out from its original home and then moved it to a new place and stuff like that. Future you will absolutely thank you. All right, all of our files are saved. Let's make sure I didn't fat finger my deletion. Just to be for sure, we'll make absolutely positive that our links are still working. There's me. Here's me. Twitch. It loads. I'm not going to wait for the video to load. All right, good. So there is our social media link. And we are coming close to the top, or the bottom of the hour, I should say. But before we move along, build it yourself header. Let's take a look at this. Create a header for your site that contains the nav component. Make the navigation component responsive. Now we're starting to get into some stuff, because I have looked at this thing on my phone and it's all right for now. Here we go. Div class nav links. Is nav links defined? And I did already, I think I skipped ahead and did this during yesterday's afternoon session. Yeah, we've got our navigation component. There it is. All right. And our header is displayed properly on each and every page. So luckily we'll be doing all of this work inside navigation. I'm going to close footer, social links. We're probably going to need globals. There's navigation on my page. There's footer on my page. I can close that. We're not going to be messing with that. And okay. Here we go. So background color, body margin, yubba, 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 yubba. We've already got all that stuff. Navlinks is the main class. Navlinks A. Display block. Yabba yabba blah 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 blah. Expanded. Media screen and min width. Okay, so this is doing a media query, and this override will apply only when The width of the screen is at least 636 pixels. It does some overrides to what's defined up top. So, yeah, I feel okay about copying and pasting, but I think rather than diving into working on our navigation component now with only 4 minutes left in my scheduled time, I am going to leave this to the next stream. So, to that, goal for next session is get the navigation component styled and responsive. Responsive spelling so that it looks good on mobile. All right, so far this week, since I've started streaming on Wednesday, I've been able to do this twice a day. Today there is a possibility that I might have a job interview in the afternoon, and another content creator that I follow avidly in the development space is going to be live streaming, I think, on LinkedIn at 2:05 this afternoon. His name's Nick Constantino. He works for Microsoft. I believe he's one of their program managers, and he's just a fantastic guy. He's super smart, and his content is incredibly easy to digest. I'll be watching that stream this afternoon at 2. If I don't have an interview that I need to participate in, I will try and get on between 1 and 2 this afternoon. That's Eastern time, of course. Otherwise, we'll pick this up again on Monday morning at 10 o'clock at the standard time. So thanks everybody for joining me. We've got a couple of minutes left, but I've only got one viewer, and they're very, very quiet. They haven't said anything, but that's okay. It's probably somebody just putting me on in the background while they do their actual real work. And yeah. Oh, there goes the coffee bot. All right. Thanks for joining me. We got quite a lot done today. Not quite as much as I would have liked to, but I had to spend and waste a lot of time stumbling over silly JavaScript problems because that is not my area of expertise. All right. Thanks, everybody. And if we don't see you all this afternoon, we will see you next time on Monday morning. Take care, everybody, and have a good weekend, please.